This is another heartbreaking incident, another infuriating terrorist attack that's now happening in the streets of America a little too frequently. We're used to hearing these kind of headlines out of the Middle East, but we live in a different country. We live in the United States of America, where you should be able to say what you want to say, proclaim how you want to proclaim, believe how you want to believe, and have civil discussions, or even have discussions that are hostile, but they don't end in violence. We're just a few weeks out from the last attack where that couple was murdered out in front of, or that worked for Israel, and one was an American, and they were about to get married. You know that whole story. And then yesterday, a terrorist open-flamed, if you will, Molotov cocktails and used a makeshift flamethrower to attack a peaceful protest, not even a protest, a peaceful vigil, if you will, in honor of the Israeli hostages that are still in captivity, are still being held. We can't let this continue on. This can't be the way America continues on. This is, you should not have a problem walking down the street showing your Judaism, honestly showing any of beliefs, showing if you are a Muslim or whatever it may be, a Christian wearing a cross, wearing a Star of David, wearing a yarmulke, wearing a hijab, because we have built a different kind of country. But unfortunately, here we are, where attacks are happening in Colorado, in Washington, D.C., and these are just sort of the top headline ones. Of course, we remember even the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, his house was essentially firebombed also, destroyed over Passover. And it all coexists and combines in a moment where you feel like there is this misunderstanding, because so many people conflate all of Judaism with the state of Israel and the government of Israel. And look, I'm a Zionist. That was not a dirty word 2 years ago. Now it is. They've corrupted the entire movement, and they have made the goal, by the way. The goal is not to protect and free the Palestinian people. I would love that to be the case. It is to keep Hamas in power and to inflict terror around the world and destroy the Jewish people and destroy the Christian people, destroy people of different sexual orientations. This is what's happening. And that could be the least American thing that exists. When you saw the images coming out of it, there was a moment of, we don't know motive, it's too early. And you kind of understand that's the cops' jobs. They can't necessarily jump to that. But it was nice to have an FBI say, no, we know what this is. We can see very clearly what this is. Let's stop messing around here and actually just say what it is, which is anti-Semitic destruction, anti-Semitic attacks, not just anti-Israel. You can have a problem with a foreign government. You can have a problem with your own government. Not everyone who voted for Kamala Harris is anti-American. Not everyone who voted for Donald Trump is pro-American, for that matter. They're not universally exclusive. You can have a problem with a government, but that's not what this is. This is, they decided to go in and attack once again, this time, people who are there saying, we just don't want to forget that there are still hostages in Israel. And I have to say to some of my friends who are on the other side, who say, hey, we don't see the anti-Semitism happening in America. We think that you're overblowing this stuff. I try to, send a few messages when any of this happens. Send a few texts. Just show headlines. I don't even spread commentary. I'm just like, here's the headline. And here's what I would like as a response. Oh, man, that's terrible. Instead, I usually get 3 pages of explanation of why it's justified. We're living in a fallen time here, everybody. But, Will, this was not some sort of isolated one moment of thousands of people protesting. This was a weekly vigil.
That's right. This has been going on since the weeks following October 7th. And it was an organized group called Run for Their Lives that host both like walking vigils as well as some like 5K type events where they're doing this to raise awareness specifically of the hostages that are still held by Hamas. And this isn't some like support the government of Israel group. This is specifically about the hostages. And I think that's also something to point out. There are many groups that are very pro getting the hostages home, raising awareness, that are even critical of the Israeli government for their response. So even in that light, the hostage issue is in many ways politically been separated from support for the Israeli government. But this individual was an Egyptian man. He was here illegally. He had overstayed a visa under the Biden administration, came here on tourist visa, overstayed, never went home, has been here for years now. And he was shouting free Palestine, some things that were unable to say on the air about Zionism and about you killing children, so we will kill you, things of that effect. And this was at a crowd of people where the 8 injured were ages 52 to 88. And that 88-year-old individual was a Holocaust survivor that is advocating for hostages, someone who is living out the message of never again, someone who survived the Holocaust and is now advocating for those that is the worst killing of Jews since the Holocaust, October 7th, advocating to bring home hostages. And on American soil in Colorado, she is set on fire by a terrorist who came from Egypt, overstayed illegally, and took the cries for intifada literally. We talk about that intifada word. This is the example. This is the manifestation. Intifada was mass suicide bombings, fire bombings in Israel. Thousands of Israelis killed.
Yeah, as of right now, they won. And that's was I saw one of the sort of pro-Zionist commentators I follow on social said something, and you've been screaming the free Palestine and all of that. Well, guess what? You got it. And here's what it looks like in America. They won. Doesn't mean we can't say this is not right. Doesn't mean we can't call it out. Doesn't mean we have to stop it. Because we do. And again, I'm saying that for all people. Not just Jewish Americans, not just Jewish Israelis, Arab Israelis, people in the Palestinian territories who are under great oppression, who are not free to do what they want to do. All of this has got to stop. But when it starts showing up on our soil, it is different. I do treat it a little differently. I'm not ignorant to the fact that war is not going to continue on, that people are not going to incite violence, that's not going to be a regular occurrence. Now, targeted violence, I think we can call out. We've seen a lot of that happen over the last 20 years. Hate speech changed a lot. Rules changed a lot because of it. I mean, we can biblically look at this and say, sure, this isn't going to end anytime soon. However, it doesn't mean we don't fight the injustice that's happening. We don't fight for those who are in need. And they're coming for us now. Okay, so now you can't just, you'd say, okay, well, we're not surprised. I'm pretty surprised when in cold blood people are shot down in Washington, D.C. because they are associated with the state of Israel, which, by the way, Republicans and Democrats both have been pretty bipartisan supporting until the last few years. It has never been a real controversial topic until recently. I'm pretty shocked when it then happens in Boulder, Colorado. It's not about violence. It's not about political violence. Sure, we've seen that from Vietnam and everything, that there was always this happening. But that doesn't mean you don't try to get better. We don't look back at those things and go, well, that's just part of America. You look back at it with disgust. The problem you have here is that the people who I've been talking to aren't looking at it with disgust. They can't see the forest through the trees. All they see is Israel bad, and they've been fed multiple lies, even over the last couple of weeks. Multiple lies that have said this is what's happening. Even as of the day before this attack, saying that there was an open fire emergency at the Israeli, that the U.S. controlled humanitarian relief center, that there was hundreds of people or 40 people that were murdered, Palestinians that were murdered by IDF soldiers. And then CNN quickly had to take that all back and go, well, we actually don't know if it was IDF. And now Mike Huckabee, ambassador to Israel, put out a statement saying, we've actually reviewed everything. Nothing happened. Not just that this was first they thought it was the IDF. For some reason, they thought the IDF opened fire on random people, but that's not how they operate. Second part was, oh, well, maybe it wasn't the IDF. Maybe it was Hamas doing it themselves. Then the third one, they find out now the answer is nothing actually occurred. No fire was exchanged. No one was murdered. And of course, that doesn't change the headlines. That doesn't just stop the violence that was incited. Same thing happened, Will, a couple weeks before, the day before, a couple weeks ago when that couple was murdered, because there was also false information being sent about this.
That's right. And to the caller's point, we are surprised because it's disheartening that this is where we're at in the United States. But in some ways, we're not surprised because this is what we've been warning about for years. Because we saw since October 7th, we warned after 2 weeks, if you get that grace period where Israel, in the eyes of the world, had just had this horrific attack and there was some empathy for the people of Israel. And we said, but just watch, it'll quickly change. And then it did. And then we warned from that day forward, this is a growing cancer that is going to manifest everywhere because the anti-Semitism that was boiling out of this was unbelievable. And then we started seeing what was happening on the college campuses, and we saw how the Biden administration was playing word games with the Israelis only to further bolster the claims of the people that were calling for intifada, that were echoing Hamas's claims.
What was the comment that
and
was
we
like
said this would happen?
The comment that they asked during that hearing that was like, are attacking Jewish students considered hate speech on your campus? Well, it depends.
It depends on the context. Yeah,
Depends
we'll pull
on the
that up. That was
context.
Claudine Gay from Harvard.
That started so much of this, that kind of rhetoric. And look, and the problem is you also see this sort of bot control from social media where you see so much. If you post anything pro-Israel, you're going to get thousands of comments a lot of times from people. I don't believe most of those are real people. You had Tom York from Radiohead. He came out this week and just said, hey, I don't like Netanyahu. I don't like the Israeli government right now. I don't like what they're doing. But you know what, Hamas? Free the hostages. Let's end this war. And then he gets slammed for that, for saying, I don't agree with the Israeli government. I just want the hostages free. Sorry, Radiohead. You're too conservative.
Yeah, something no one has said ever.
Same with Bono. Said the same thing. He's like, I want us to be the Israelis be free of Netanyahu, and I want the hostages to be freed because that's how the war will end. How dare you, Bono? How dare you be such a conservative radical? This is where we're at right now, okay? And that's thanks to a couple of you, by the way, on the right, who decided to spew this hate speech and create this narrative. We are so excited to announce the ACLJ's brand new app, completely redesigned to provide you with the best tools available to partner with us at the ACLJ. You can watch the daily Secular program, sign the petitions, customize your ACLJ membership experience, donate with the click of a button, and receive up-to-the-minute critical updates that the mainstream media can't censor. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to your phone's app store, search ACLJ, and click install. It's that simple.